Okay, so this video is going to be a bit different from my normal output. If you've been around for a while, you'll know that I love to talk all about Fortnite, specifically the lore and collaboration aspects of the game. That's not what I'm going to be doing here today. Today, I am so incredibly annoyed at a very specific ad campaign that I just need to rant about how god-awful it is. I've been seeing this commercial pop up a ton recently, and I'm not joking when I say this is quite possibly the worst ad campaign ever thought up by a human being. The ad comes from the Chicago-based phone network company known as US Cellular. For my non-American viewers, it's basically another Spectrum. On YouTube, the ad has the title of "A phone company telling us to use our phones less?" ? That's ironic, don't you think? The commercial opens up with a bunch of people, including a newlywed couple for some reason, on their smartphones, and I think you know where this is going.
Our phones were made to help us connect, yet somehow they've made us less connected. Which is ironic, don't you think?
Yep. This ad deadass cold opens with phones bad, aka the quintessential boomer argument of all time. And before you ask, no, this commercial isn't from the last decade. It was made last year. That is crazy. Speaking of crazy, the next scene is something else.
Phone-free dinner?
But the menu's on the phone.
Ironic.
So here we have the lady from before at a restaurant with her family, and she tells everyone to get off their phones, but the menu is one of those online menus you have to access with a QR code, so they obviously keep using them. She calls that irony, even though that's not what that means, but whatever. I often see people complain about these online menus and how they suck, but if I'm being completely honest, in the few instances I've been to restaurants like this, I've never really once had a problem with it. It's a bit annoying and inconvenient, sure, but I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Certainly not to the point where you use it as a dig against smartphones in your shit-ass commercial about human connection. I mean, Jesus, talk about first world problems. Like, I hate that I have to even go here in the first place, but does this lady know there's like wars and happening all over the world, and she's sitting here complaining about having to scan a QR code? What a privileged douchebag. Wait a minute, I just realized something. These kids, who presumably can't be more than 5 or 6 years old, have their own smartphones? You mean to tell me this stupid asshole gave her kids smartphones and is now complaining that their attention spans are ruined? My sister in Christ, that's your fault. I don't know a lot of 5-year-olds, but I'm pretty sure none of them actually have smartphones of this quality. If anything, they have one of those burner phones that just like connects to their parents' phone number, and that's it. Not like full-on Apple Android smartphones. Like, what the hell? It's almost like this commercial is peddling completely unrealistic boomer ideology. Also, I think this restaurant has way more pressing issues than just a stupid online menu. Do you notice that there's no forks or knives to be found anywhere on this table? Just a bunch of spoons? What the hell is that about? On top of that, this lady's drink has a huge-ass fly in it. Why? What purpose does that serve being in this ad? Is it to say that restaurants that use online menus are filthy or something? I seriously don't understand. Why did they put that there? One more thing. Am I crazy, or what's being displayed on these phone screens just not physically possible with the angles they're being held at? Look at this one. On the screen, it looks like the camera's directly above the QR code, but that can't be given the placement of the camera on the phone. If anything, it should be showing the fly drink, but on the display, it's cut off and towards the bottom. And none of the other phones are in view either. F***ing lazy, man. Oh my god. Anyways, next scene.
We can't watch something without also watching something else.
Okay, so we have Little Miss Special Snowflake over here complaining that people are on their phones even while watching TV. I guess they're trying to make the point that phones are so distracting nowadays that they even distract us from distractions, or something like that. I actually think there's a kernel of truth here somewhere. The problem is that they use television as the example. If this were a movie theater where you run the risk of annoying other moviegoers, I'd 100% agree. But television in your own private residence? Get the f out of here, I'll do what I want. If I want to watch King of the Hill reruns and play Subway Surfers at the same time after a grueling day of work, whose business is it except my own? Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but can't the same mindset about how phones are disconnecting us from reality also be applied to television? I know for the longest time in like the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, television was the boomer boogeyman. What exactly changed? Oh, so I just gotta say, I think the way the scene is set up is particularly funny. This lady is over here yapping about how phones forced her to commit vehicular manslaughter or something, and these two are over here just completely shutting her out. Can't say I blame them. They honestly look really chill, so I don't know what this lady's problem is.
Post about cuteness and miss the even cuterness. Ironic.
Oh, Christ almighty, this woman. God forbid parents capture a picture of their child doing something adorable. God forbid these parents share said photo with their friends and family. God forbid they have something to cherish and look back on when their child leaves the nest. God forbid they look at this specific photo when they're old and gray. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely parents out there that see their children as nothing but props for internet fame, but that's not what this is. Nor is that every single parent who shares photos of their kids online. This is easily the worst point yet, and we're only just coming up on the halfway mark.
We listen to our own music instead of singing out loud together. Isn't that ironic?
You're an idiot.
But look, here's a phone company who wants us to use our phones less.
That's ironic.
Yeah, but in a good way.
Every fish in the sea's the one for me.
Let's find us again with Us Mode. US Cellular, built for us.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what the ad has been building up to. It's this US Cellular program thing called Us Mode. Ha ha ha, so fucking clever. They don't really explain what it is or what it does, but after the lady and everybody on the bus activates the feature, the demonic Apple and Android devices are defeated, and everyone becomes not brain-dead zombies, I guess. I can't think of a more unrealistic scenario than people willingly talking to complete strangers on the bus. Seriously, if you strapped a bomb to me and told me the only way to disarm it was to talk to some rando on the bus, I'd tell you to detonate it right then and there. And that's the ad. It sucks, plain and simple. But before we continue, I just want to make something clear. I'm not some basement-dwelling freak who hates the sun and human interaction. I generally agree that putting technology down and making human connections is a wonderful thing. It's just that this ad went about delivering this message in the absolute worst way humanly possible. Seriously, this is just a bunch of fear-mongering. I can't think of another word to describe it. In my personal experience, at least, and I think I speak for a lot of people who are watching this video, I've met so many of my current day friends via the internet, and even the ones I met in real life, I'm still able to keep in contact with through platforms like Discord. Are the people who made this commercial just jaded that younger generations have more platforms than ever to express and connect with like-minded individuals or something? I don't get it, man. If you want a better example of why arguments like this are completely pointless and counterintuitive, I suggest you check out this video by MaximumQualityContent going over that infamous "Are You Lost in a World Like Me" animation by Steve Cutts. They do a much better job at explaining all the flaws with this phone bad mentality. But now, we need to take a look at two things before this video ends. We need to figure out who the woman in this ad is, and just what the hell Us Mode is. Let's start with the former. Who is this? Well, this is apparently Alanis Morissette, and in the video's description, she's described as a Grammy-winning artist and wholeness advocate. Not entirely sure what a wholeness advocate is, but the part about her being a Grammy-winning singer is in fact true, as she's won 7 Grammys and a boatload of other awards. I never personally heard of her before seeing this ad, but to be completely fair to her, that seems to be on me, as she's enjoyed a very fruitful career, all things considered. Wait a minute, she was in Kevin Smith's Dogma? I love Dogma, but for the life of me, I don't remember who she was in it. Was she like a background actress, or... Okay, damn. Fair enough, Queen. Anyways, you may have noticed that during the ad, Miss Morissette kept calling the scenario she was in ironic.
Ironic. Ironic. Ironic. Ironic.
Ironic. Ironic.
Ironic.
This because this whole ad is basically one big reference to a song she made called, you'll never believe this, Ironic. It's a song in which Alanis describes a bunch of ironic scenarios, except none of the scenarios she mentioned are actually ironic. No, I'm not kidding. Look it up. Wait, does that mean her calling the online menus ironic was intentional and a reference to how this song makes no sense? Oh, whatever, there's no way the people who made this commercial were that smart. The song is referenced pretty heavily in the ad and is even played through the majority of it, so this video is probably going to get copyright claimed. That scene where Alanis is dressed up as like 4 different versions of herself is a direct recreation of the music video. All those spoons on the table is a reference to these lyrics, and so on and so forth. I went into this expecting Alanis to be some sort of one-hit wonder that US Cellular was trying to dig back up for the sake of a crappy ad campaign, but that's not the case at all. She still produces music pretty regularly, and by all accounts, it seems to be very well received. Hell, I've been listening to some of her older songs whilst working on this video, and believe it or not, I've actually come around to her music. It's seriously not that bad. And that just kind of makes me hate this commercial even more. Why did they portray her like this? She comes across so smarmy and genuinely stupid. Again, why? Did they really think making her say a bunch of alienating, out-of-touch complaints would fit her personality well? God, if I were her, I'd sue for character defamation. I think that's all I have to say about Alanis. I feel really bad she was roped into this crap, and obviously I wish her well in her future endeavors. Anyways, what else? Wait, yeah. Just what the hell is us mode supposed to do? The ad makes no effort to tell us what it actually is, nor does the video's description. And that's always a good sign. I love it when advertisements completely scurry around what they're trying to sell you. Well, on the US Cellular website, they state that US Mode is a group of settings one can customize, allowing users a chance to set time limits on social media, disable push notifications, get rid of red notification bubbles, create preset quiet times, and personalize app displays. Okay, so you mean to tell me that US Cellular's GigaBrain solution to phone overconsumption is to get rid of notifications? That's what they spent millions of advertising dollars on? Settings that every single phone on the market already has built into it? I'm done. F you, US Cellular. It's pretty funny that US Cellular is getting all preachy about bringing people together, given they announced in April of this year that they would be laying off thousands of employees nationwide due to a T-Mobile merger. That's ironic, don't you think?